Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Boston Motorsports in Brighton, Massachusetts, we're driving the Big Daddy. This is the Mercedes-AMG GT63S, and that S is actually very important in this variant because the standard 63 has 577 horsepower. This has 630 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque. This is a monster, and it'll do 0 to 60 in about 2.9 seconds. It's got this crazy wing. We drove the GT53 the other day. That's only got 429 horsepower. And while that's a fun and technologically interesting car because it's got a turbocharger, a supercharger, and a 48-volt mile hybrid system, this is the opposite. This is just throwing all of the brutality at the car. We've got a 4-liter bi-turbo V8 that sends the power through its 9-speed MCT transmission, that multi-clutch, to all 4 wheels. I don't even know what to say. We're gonna go take this out for a drive. It's gonna be a phenomenal day. And it is a bit cold today, but man, does this thing just look the part? It's wild because this is the GT, right? So it's supposed to kind of be the 4-door version of the sports car, this 2-door supercar. Of course it's not. It's based off of the E-Class wagon. And what better platform to take from than an E63S wagon? That is really cool. And like a wagon, it is a hatchback, so there is kind of a strange amount of room and practicality associated with this car. It's got some funky tricks up its sleeves as well because it does have rear wheel steering. Now, it's not like the crazy 10-degree steering system on the new S-Class, but it's definitely noticeable from behind the wheel. And when you come back here, you've got this monster exhaust tips. Of course, they're not actually real because nothing's real anymore. Everything's just a facade, but that's fine because the sound that comes out of this is very real. In the rear, and we'll notice our frameless doors because sports car, we've got really comfortable sort of captain's chairs. They're like buckets. And then when we sit back here, we've got plenty of storage space. I've got reasonable headroom. I'm about 5'9", maybe 5'10". I got a long torso. Let's say I'm 5'10" today. How about that? But if you're very tall, this may not be suitable for a full-size adult if you're like over 6 feet tall. Lovely cup holders with some cooling ability as well. To put all this power down, we've got 265s up front and 295s in the rear on 20-inch wheels. But enough chit-chat, I want to drive because that is the best part of an AMG. So let's start the car with the door open as you should. Somewhat tame, nothing too crazy. We've got our big AMG logo reminding us what we're driving here. But, of course, turn on our loud exhaust mode. We have warmed the car up, so she's good to go. Depending on how your neighbors feel about cars, they're either gonna love you or hate you every morning. This 4-liter V8 pretty much goes in all the AMG lineup at this point, but the big party trick with this car is that you've got a hot V, so these turbochargers sit inside the V, meaning very short runners from the exhaust to the intake, and it can spool up very quickly and improves throttle response. This one comes equipped with a nose lift, but it's a full body lift, so when we do press that button, the rear of the car rises up and then the front of the car rises up. Now, it's not crazy low to begin with, but I definitely appreciate the fact that you could probably clear anything with that nose lift. And down here, just like on the 53, we've got all of our drive modes and all of this information so we can go from comfort to sport, sport plus, race, and there's even a drift mode. I don't know how to enter it. We're not going to be doing that today, but what that does is exactly what you'd think. It decouples the front axle and sends all of the power and torque to the rear wheels. To start with the launch control, so we're going to go into race mode. We're going to put our foot to the floor on the brake, put our foot to the floor on the gas. Jeez, this is no joke. Holy cow. Dude, okay, all right. Yeah, this is like this is a fast vehicle. This is a fast, oh my God. This is a fast car. This is a fast car. I'm not joking. I actually wasn't expecting this to be this fast. This is shocking. It took a second to really find the traction. It's cold out. The ground is definitely not in a mood for putting power down, but once this thing hooked up, whoa. lets the rear end step out just a little bit and get squirrely, which is nice. We're gonna be nice and easy on these roads though. It's cold, not exactly on winter tires. It's covered in salt, but man, does this thing just scoot. Monster grenades getting shot out the rear end when you let off the throttle and upshift. Holy cow. All right, no joke. If you're like an adult and you have 17-year-old children and this is the family car, just don't buy this. Your kids will die. This is this is your kids will die territory. Oh my goodness. All right, before we get out to like the highway and give a few pulls here, let's go into comfort mode. And we're gonna go down some sort of, uncomfortable roads. What happens with this vehicle, it's always a bit stiff. Never gonna get like a fully luxury experience with the suspension. And maybe that's what you want. You bought a sports car, you bought a car that's named after a legitimate two-door, nearly supercar 911 fighter. Maybe you don't ever want it to feel soft, but if you're looking for something that's also going to make you feel like you're in an Audi Allroad or something, you're not going to get that from here. So don't expect comfort mode to genuinely mean comfort. It's just less violent. Be gentle by the Jetta. We want to respect people even though we have all of this power. I mean, you could legitimately, oh my goodness. This is supercar speed, guys. Like, this is a fast vehicle. Don't really want to be behind all that tornado of salt. So we're going to ease our way back over here. And, with great power comes great responsibility, because you could do some really dumb stuff in this. Oh my God. Not feel this way in the 53. I need an E63 wagon, because if an E63 wagon can do anything that this car can do and be a wagon, I need it. It's immediately apparent that this has a multi-clutch transmission. Jesus. Cold, salty, not winter tires, sorry. Can't slam it on this on-ramp. As evidenced by a little bit of slip from the rear end there. Dude. Alright, I'm like having a good time here. I gotta be careful. Like, this is the kind of thing that'll get you in trouble. Sounds maniacal. It's so angry. Okay, let's just chill on the highway for, like, my blood pressure needs to come down for a second. This is bonkers. Something that I find really strange about this car, and I don't know why I didn't notice it on the 53, the steering wheel feels like it's off center to the right a little bit. Like, it's not in the middle of me. I don't know if you can see this on camera. It doesn't feel like it's right down the center of my body line. It feels like it's off like an inch or two to the right. So I don't know, maybe it's in my imagination, but I feel like it's worth pointing out. Then we've got all these screens, and I don't like screens. I wish I had like cool analog dials, but frankly, none of this matters, because I'm not getting in this car and being sold by technology. The technology means nothing to me at this point, because right now, take all my money. I can have a car that goes this fast and sounds this good. Let me put it this way. When you're a passenger in a fast car and someone does a hard launch or a hard 0 to 60, you get that butterfly sensation. But when you're a driver, that butterfly sensation rarely happens, or doesn't happen quite as intensely, because you know it's coming, you're in control. I actually genuinely get the fizz in this car. Like, I feel my stomach falling out of my asshole. This is, I mean, man, is that not the best marketing line ever? See how fast this transmission downshifts. Ready? We're just gonna get into it. 6th gear, 54 miles an hour. Oh, it just pulls like a freight train. Every gear is crazier. This interior might not be to everybody's taste. I know a lot of people don't like light interiors. I love them, but I love them for camera because this pops on camera a lot more than a black interior. You actually get to see what's going on here rather than just seeing like a mishmash of black things. And some people don't like when the center of a steering wheel doesn't match the leather. I like the little black snoot. I think it looks like a cute puppy. Oh, the downshifts are nuts. This is maniacal. Fighting for traction up the hill. That's fun, man. I mean, dude, this is overkill in the best possible way, and it won't kill you. I mean, this is like, I mean, you can really kind of bury it, and it'll start to give you a little bit of slip angle. Now, this is one of those cars. Like, I don't recommend jumping in this puppy, setting it to drift mode, going full rear, no ESP, no traction control, nothing. And saying, hey, I got it. I don't know, man. This is fast. I mean, try it out, feel it out. But, geez, this thing really boogies. Let's roll into it and just see what happens. Just bonkers. And the brakes, fantastic. Nice feel. This is not something I've felt in a while. I know in the past, I've said that I prefer the 5.5 liter AMG bi-turbo from the previous generations. And I don't know that I'm going to go back on that because I feel like it has a lot of character. But I gotta say, even though this 4-liter bi-turbo with the hot V has become ubiquitous in all of the AMG cars, you get it in the SUVs, you get it in the GT Blackwing, or Black Series. I mean, sorry, I've been watching Jason Camisa's Cadillac videos. This engine, the way they tune it differently for every vehicle is just, it's incredible. It's incredible. And they do such a good job. And, you know, sometimes I get down on ubiquitous platforms when it comes to engines and powertrains because it feels like a Nissan. It feels like we've just put the VQ in everything once again. I don't feel that way. I think every time I think that, I drive one, it all goes away. I love this engine. I was talking to one of the sales guys at Boston Motorsports. I'm like, who buys these cars? He was telling me it's basically people who have like Corvettes or other kind of sports cars that are a bit overpowered. And then they have kids and they realize they need the practicality of a large vehicle with 4 seats and trunk space, but they don't want to give up the hoonigan insanity that goes on here. And I mean, this thing really delivers on that. Holy cow. Until you get to the point where you're racing it up against an electric car, like a Tesla or something, I mean, this is going to walk away from everybody. Race mode. Let's see how she hops on the highway again. Just the most fun. Can't go as hard as I would like to just because cold conditions, mostly inappropriate tires, and salt on the road. But holy cow, this thing is a genuine monster. Oh, I'm in love. I like this a lot. This is fun. This is unnecessary. This is overkill. All right, let's talk about some downsides. There is obviously the perk of pure lunacy in the thing, and the power really takes the cake, the way this handles. It's heavy. I think that's my number one thing, is it's a heavy vehicle, and you cannot mask that. So it does, you know, even though it's incredible the way it puts power down, you'll find it kind of overpowering the rears, kind of thunking itself back in line, doing that whole thing. So no surprises there. And my other complaint would probably be the 4-wheel steering. Now, it makes like tight turns really incredible, impossible. But four-wheel steering can always have some deleterious effects on where you think you're going, and it can make the car a little twitchy when you go to jump into a corner. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's a difficult thing to perfect, and I feel like we're just a little bit off. And I've had the same complaints even about Ferrari. When you get into a GT4 Lusso, that rear steering really kind of unsettles you. You don't know exactly where you're going. So that's not a dig at Mercedes. It's just a dig at the systems not being perfect. And it's really hard to make those systems natural and neutral and make you feel like you know exactly what's going to happen. So that's just about adapting as a driver. Looking for the lunacy of a Tesla, but you don't want to commit to the EV life. You want that V8 rumble. I don't know what to tell you. This is the answer. It accomplishes exactly what it seems to have set out to do. This is really cool. And I would highly recommend having a lawyer on retainer to help you get out of trouble. That's pretty dope. GT5. Thank you so much to Boston Motorsports for letting me take this thing out for a drive. This needs to stop dinging at me and telling me that I'm over the speed limit. It's fine. It's fine. We're going 65 miles an hour on the highway. It's going to be okay. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Whew. Don't forget to respect the drive, especially when you're given, 650 horsepower and all of the torque and just pure lunacy. Pure lunacy. I'll see you in the next one. Like 75 miles an hour, just an Autobahn burner. This thing just wants to go 195 miles an hour all day long. I would have let you in. You were making a valid pass there. Thank you. Always nice when people look. I try to reward people when they look. You give them a little wave. Hey, thanks. Nice. That's how we'll make the world a little better. That's how we'll encourage better driving, because flipping people off just makes people defensive. And while it's often warranted, and I do it a lot, when people do nice things, they get out of your way, I think we should start waving. We should give people a little wave.